Two unemployed actors, two unemployed actors. They're just between projects.
Welcome back to Two Unemployed Actors. I'm Max.
I'm Sam.
And we've got a great episode today. We're just going to give you a great episode today. We're going to give you a catch up on what we've been up to, and then go through how we set up for a self-tape, what's involved on the tech side, and also just as an actor, like how we prepare for those remote auditions, which are really normal now. It's so rare to actually
100%.
get in the room. But anyway, those were the days,
Yeah.
the pre-plague days, the good old days.
Oh, I miss those days.
You can get immediate feedback.
I'm old enough to know as well.
The olden days, the pre-plague days. Anyway, Sammy, what's been happening besides being crook? You poor bug. How long have you been? Are you actually feeling really sick from it? Is it like fatiguing you and everything?
So for those of you who don't know, which is probably everyone listening, I have tested positive to COVID about a week ago. Jess tested first, and then I got it off her, which was inevitable. But I did for a few days think that I was invincible because I wasn't feeling anything. But I actually, to be honest, this is like the lowest the feeling is like having the lowest form of a flu that I've ever had.
Okay.
I've it's yes, a bit of coughing here and there, quite sniffly and bit heavy and stuff. I'm getting better now, but it's not I mean, I guess that's what vaccinations do for you.
Yeah.
Is
I mean,
that
obviously would have been worse.
I didn't feel that too bad. So yeah. So I didn't feel it too bad, but yeah, getting better. I'm free from my isolation tomorrow. After tomorrow.
That'd be great. That must be so good. I know I had when I had it in January, it was just self-imposed exile for 7 days, and I had the sweats and everything, and it felt like I had the flu, but I wasn't blocked. It was really weird. And then I lost all taste for another week, which was really hard because I love my food. But anyway.
Yeah.
We survived. We're survivors. But
yeah, it's hard to tell though. Because you have a blocked nose, so you don't know if your taste disappears because of your blocked nose or...
Well, see, it felt like I had a blocked nose, but I didn't. Like it was that feeling from when you're really congested with the flu, but I could breathe through my nose fine. Yeah. It was just really weird. Oh, I don't know. That was the Omicron flavor anyway, whatever. But
oh yeah, I don't know what I have.
Well, while you've been busy,
Omicron flavor.
While you've been busy trying to get better, I've been off partying in LA.
Nice little vacation.
3 days of conference, I have to say, at the start for Podcast Evolutions, just to find out some more tips and tricks on podcasting, and well worthwhile. It was like 1,700 people that attended in downtown LA, and it was great. A couple of good parties as well, and then a few days tagged on the end just for me because you've come all that way, might as well, and then fly back all without incident and testing negative the whole way. So can't complain at all.
Isn't that good? Did you hire a car? Did you rent a car?
No, just Ubered everywhere. In downtown LA, there are those Uber. You can rent the scooters, electric scooters, and just zip around everywhere. But I was actually staying right next to where the conference was, so that was easy for 3 days. And then Ubers. So just Ubered and scooted, depending on how far I had to go.
Very nice.
Yeah, I was pretty happy with
those
that.
electric scooters are good.
Yeah, they get up some decent speeds.
I tried them out in Europe. Yeah, hell yeah. And did you have to wear a helmet in LA? No. Yeah, neither. Same in Europe. Like, they have the same things. And you're just going at, I reckon it's like 25 kilometers per hour at least. And you're like, got no helmet. You're going down hills and past cars and stuff. I'm like, I don't know how we did that.
Well, it was good. It was good fun anyway.
But it was great.
Great
it was
fun.
Good fun.
But I had a great trip. But and lots of notes to put back into the podcast. Help us get bigger, better, stronger, and all that.
Yeah, 100%.
So I think where were we? We had Mark Morrissey's interview go out last episode. That was huge to hear all those tips and tricks from Mark. Particularly, I was surprised too, like on going to LA. He's kind of like, look, you really want to be invited to the party, you know, and to turn up on your own. You're one of, you know, millions. And sure, there's more opportunities in LA, but there's so many more people there as well. It's tough.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing is was interesting was his point on coming back to acting, where you know, if there were two people vying for a role, he'd lean towards the person who's stuck with acting all the way through, rather than someone who, as reference to me,
that's you out,
stepped out and then came back for whatever reason, because you sort of stayed with it. I thought that was interesting. But anyway,
just don't tell him.
And far better to turn up to LA with a body of work, you know, that you've produced in Australia, to then get your foot in the door and get representation. So
was he suggesting heading to LA on your own, or did he talk much about visas and stuff?
No. Well, look, I mean, his role is to invest in an actor's development, and that could be anywhere from 3 to 5 years, he was saying. And then when they're ready, then introduce them, because you sort of only launch once, so you've got to make it right and make it count. And he mentioned he was flying over with someone to do just that, to introduce them to American representation. And I guess, you know, his word will get you in the door because of his track record and his relationships. And then, congratulations, you get representation, or you've certainly got a greater shot at getting represented. So it's that sort of being managed and helped after being developed. Makes sense. Interesting chat. I really enjoyed that. And next week we have Jordana Beatty, who started acting at like 6 or 7, you know, feature role at 8. So that's going to be an interesting episode as well. But on to today. Yeah. Today is all about self-taping, and I mean, like, even talking to actors in LA, you know, it's the same there. There's just so much of it. You know, they still 100%. Want to get you in the room, but, you know, for the first, say they look at 1,000 people for a role, maybe they get 100 self-tapes or more, and from that, then there's, you know, 2 or 3 or 5, whatever, that they actually get in the room and do the good old test in front of the camera. Screen test and chemistry test and anything else that they want to test. So it's not going away. And I think...
No, definitely not.
You know, because I know we've said it before, how much we enjoy being in the room, because you can get that... I mean, you've got that adrenaline, the pressure, you know, you know this is it. You haven't got, like... You can't do take after take after take.
Yeah.
And, you know, you get that feedback as well.
Yeah, and you need to be able to put it out of your mind as well with an audition. And I kind of like the feeling of work at it. You get this shot, and you kind of get... It's kind of like a performance a little bit, because you got these people in front of you. And then you can put it out of your mind, because that was your chance. And I kind of... That helps, for me at least. It helps a lot. So self-taping, it has its perks, but it also, you know, different people, different opinions, I guess.
Yeah,
but,
I mean,
exactly. Like you said, it's a lot harder to get in the room now.
Yeah, and I mean, I know some people who really do enjoy the fact that they have that control and can go over and over and over again to try and, you know, get the best of the best takes. But you know, to have someone in the room and go, actually, you know, can you try it, you know, this way? If it's either to see if you can take direction or to actually bring you closer to the character that they have in their mind. You know, I really enjoyed that. So, yeah, it's not going away. I guess we could break it out into different things. You know, from a technical perspective, like how we actually do it, and then I thought we could talk about how we prepare for it, and then also how we actually, you know, go about it as an actor. So for me, I've got a tripod that's specific for self-tests, all set away, little fold-up one, little travel one, it can go with me. And then either for... what I like to do is use my phone, because I find it a bit easier. I've got like one of those plastic brackets where the phone can click in. It used to have a little LED attachment, but I've got actual lights. I'll get to that in a sec. But if I'm traveling, it'll have the little LED on it, because then you can still, have some influence on how you're lit. And then a Rode Go microphone. So it's a little portable mic, but it's directional. So it's more going to pick up your voice more than whoever's reading, if there is a reader. So then I'll set up the tripod, click in the little bracket, stick the phone in, connect the microphone, and then I just put up I've got 2 tripods that I use. I'm using them now, actually. So one just behind me on a low setting, and one in front of me that's lighting me from the front. They're newer lights, so just LED lights. The fact that I've got 2 of them helps with shadows, and I just put them either side of the tripod and adjust depending on how much natural light there is or isn't. That way, no matter how I record, no matter what time of day, how many times, I can come back to it the next day or whatever, it's still the same consistent lighting, which is great. So,
cool.
Like within minutes, I'm ready to go, because I really don't want to spend lots of time fiddling and fart-assing around. I want to actually get in there and just spend time going through take after take. And then I just record on the phone, and then I drop it into Adobe Premiere Pro, and then I edit that way, which makes it easier.
That's the thing. Like with self tapes, with going in the room and stuff. I like being able to be focusing more on acting, and with self tapes, it's like 80% of it is editing, like the time that it takes. I mean, it is setting up, getting the right lighting, doing the right thing, and all the editing and stuff. And the focus on the acting is what I really like. So with my setup, I generally have a blue screen set up behind me. Yet it depends on what sort of script I get. I mean, if I find an interesting background, whether it suits the scene or something, maybe I'll go for that. I'll try and analyze kind of who I'm auditioning for and what for to determine that. Recently, Jess and I got a lighting rig to keep the lighting consistent, because we used to use natural light coming from the window, but then you're kind of on like a time schedule with the lighting, and it kind of changes over time. It's almost feels a bit rushed, so it's good that you use consistent lighting. Obviously, it's important. I use a camera and a mic attached to the camera, so good quality camera, good quality mic.
Okay.
Because the most important things are for the casting agents to hear you and see you. Like, that's pretty much the two most important things, obviously. Try not to have too many distractions, because I mean it is all about the acting, and that's why I guess they're like just kind of blank backdrops and stuff like that. But I mean, if you can think of some minimal props that could help as a choice in a script that you're doing, like I kind of do that sometimes, because you kind of want to stand out, because everyone gets given the same script, and you kind of want to make some exciting choices. And if a prop does that as well and helps you with your acting with that, then I do that sometimes. Also, I think getting the right shot as well. I mean, as in shoot landscape always, never shoot portrait.
Yep.
Medium shot, so we'd shoot from chest to just above the head, so there's not too much room like above here. So then you can, not too far, not too close, you can see you're acting really well.
A mid shot, because I think, and this segues nicely into, as an actor, indeed, how you want it to look. And I think, the mid shot is really important, because you want to be able to get any of your actions, and I mean, you're not dancing around. It's not. But
unless you
want to get some, you want to get some action. You want to get close, but not.
Yeah,
not
and also decide
nostril.
what works best for the character you're auditioning for, standing or sitting. I reckon just come up with that pretty early, so then you can set your camera up, because it's a pain in the ass to move it around, because you should have a good quality tripod and stuff as well.
And as you're working through it, I mean, obviously be off book. And like, I know I'll try and nail the way that I really think is going to land well, and I'll try and get that. and get that well a couple of times, and then I'll experiment and do it like different ways. And sometimes my out there experiment, I'm looking at it going, actually, I'm going to put that one in, and I sort of, I quite enjoy mixing it up a bit that way.
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
Because I think then when you're looking at going back to technical now, when you're looking at editing it finally, I tend to put the one that I think will land the best, whatever that one is out of all the options, first and foremost. And then I might do one or two more of the very different way out there.
Yeah, especially if they ask you to do, which occasionally happens, ask you to send through a couple takes.
Even if they don't, I do it.
Exactly. If they don't, probably don't do it. But if they do ask, just differentiate between them. Play some different characters. Show some. Don't just send two of the exact same ones. Pretty much.
A couple of times
they're asking for two for a reason.
Well, a couple of times. Like I've got 3 versions, and I've gone and removed one of the versions and just put like there's the meat of it that I really wanted them to see how I could pull it off in multiple different ways. I just edit it down really tight. So I've got the way that I think is going to land the full scene. So I've done what they've said.
Yep.
And then I've got all these little bits just back to back of me doing that meaty section over and over again, different ways, like a few different ways, 3 or 4 or 5, and then a full scene done very differently. I remember getting feedback. I did one like that for a television commercial. Having said that, I didn't get the commercial, but I got another gig through that casting director. And he's like, "Oh, I really loved that audition. It was great. I played the whole thing for the client. It's just that the client wanted to go with someone who looked older on screen." So
that's a compliment.
But and that was one where I did. Here's the full scene, the way I think it'll land, and then lots of different moments of me doing it in a comical sort of over the top way. Back to back to back, and then straight into a punchier final scene.
Yeah, 100%.
That's the scene that they wanted, but just done a bit differently.
Yeah, and as we were talking about before, with self-tapes, you can do as many takes as you want to try and nail it. But what I find is that the first few are usually the most natural ones, the most natural acting, because you're not overthinking, overanalyzing.
Yeah, so you're right. It's so easy to get into that rabbit hole, and you just spend so long going over and over and over, and you're trying to get that extra 1%. It's like, oh my God, it's bad headspace.
Nothing's perfect. And there's no right or wrong either. You just got to do your best. Good acting. You just got to nail it with the emotion and the realism, and find which one works best. Yeah. So
I think there we go. We covered technical. We've covered how we approach it. And we've covered the editing. Like I know I've done it a few different ways, and I guess there's no real one right way. It's just use your gut, use your instinct when it comes to putting the package together to send away, because you don't want to be too out there and not distract from the piece of work. You certainly don't want to be doing things like changing the lines and all that sort of stuff.
Well, I mean, make it interesting and different in your acting, but everything else, keep it quite simple, because it would be a pain in the ass for them to get through all this flashy editing with massive titles everywhere.
The supers over the top.
You don't need all that.
Huge intro, and
that's not how you want to stand out. You want to stand out from the acting.
Collage of your headshots over the years. Here's a journey of Max.
Yeah, and it's all that before the actual
with some generic YouTube music playing over the top of it, and then you start with the "Hey guys."
I know, yeah. Oh, yeah. And your introduction to camera, this took me a long, long time. You're nervous, and you're just introducing yourself. You're like, what the hell? Just be confident, and just kind of, it takes time, but just looking dead at the camera and just saying, "Hi, my name is Sam," or whatever it is. You're
right. You're right. That's really. I can't believe I forgot about that. You're absolutely right, because you want to be authentic, because that's the only time they actually get to see you, possibly.
Yeah, but don't be nervous. Like, it's hard to not be. I get it, but with the introduction to camera, because you aren't playing that character, you're being you and just introducing yourself and saying your height and age.
And like I said,
get that
that's
it can
their
be
only
nerve-wracking.
window into who you are. They don't see you because they go straight to the character. So,
Yeah, but that's almost like the first impression.
Yeah, don't muck it up.
Yeah, exactly. Just say it confidently and calmly and clearly. Don't trip over your words. Don't trip over your age or anything like that.
Relaxed and authentic. No,
yeah,
it's good.
exactly.
Heaps of tips. I love it. It's great. It's awesome. And I think, and what you don't see is the fact that we've done this so many times with so much different tech. It just sounds easy, do it this way, do it that way. But like, it's lots and lots of takes. Imagine if we could add up all those takes, Sam, and see, like, even from the first ones with poor tech and everything and inconsistent lighting and all the way through to how we got our setups now. It'd be hilarious.
Yeah. I know. You'd really be able to see the difference.
The iceberg. We're giving you the tip of the iceberg, but there's been a whole lot of work to get to this point of what works for us. And let us know if you approach it differently. By all means, get in touch. Let us know what works for you. Yeah,
different outlooks and points of view. Yeah, exactly.
Because this is something we can touch on again for sure. Because it's definitely going to be a norm now for all actors.
100% has been. Yeah.
I remember Anoush Zarkesh, the Australian award-winning casting director we interviewed recently. She said, what's really interesting now is that agents are suddenly, because they're asking for all their clients to submit for a particular tape for a self-test for a role, they can actually start to actually see, like, it's like they're suddenly brought into that room, that space that they don't normally see. Normally they're just asking
see their actors.
Yeah, normally they're just asking for feedback when they're told no or whatever. But now they're actually able to see, and I know Mark mentioned it too, how great it is to be able to say, actually, every now and then push back and go, you know what, can you tweak this a little bit there and tweak that a little bit there? So you've got another set of... So I guess that's a really good positive, that you've got another set of eyes that can sort of see.
Yep.
And also they're seeing you more regularly. Definitely. And how you're acting, how you're going, what works for you. And I think that's really helpful too, which normally they wouldn't. So I guess there's some big positive in there.
Yep, 100%.
Because Mark certainly likes to see them. It's just something I really hadn't thought of, like from the agent's perspective before when it comes to self-tapes. Well, there you go. Another great episode full of lots of tips and tricks, and this time on self-tapes. Next week, make sure you follow, download and listen, because next week an interview with Jordana Beatty, an actress who's got years of experience, and she's only 23. You've been listening to Two Unemployed Actors. I'm Max.
I'm Sam.
And you'll hear us next week. Bye.
Two unemployed actors.